of Q&A from our audience. And then the last question is always, what can the community do for you? So if you hear a startup up here and they say, they're looking for a connection into the chamber, you just say, oh, I know Sean Kennedy, let me talk to them. That's kind of the interaction that happens up here at the end of the program. So we look forward to all of that happening today and drinking great Macau coffee. We donate us coffee every week. So I'm Danielle Callahan. I'm one of the organizers here at 1 Million Cup St. Petersburg. Brian Bowers and Chris Bennett. Chris is also the presenter today. Sean Kennedy is the presenter. I think he'll be joining us later. And in fact, we have Carly, who is the one that keeps us on track with everything. So we get to look good up here, and she does all the hard work. In the back, there's a sign-up sheet. If you don't get our emails, we want to get 2 emails a week from us. They go out on Tuesday, saying who's going to be here on Wednesday, and Friday, summarizing who is here on Wednesday. So if you've signed up before and you're not getting our emails, check your spam. I typed it wrong. So with that,
All right, hey, it's been a year. I talked about 1021 a year ago. I have 3 minutes to recap that, 3 minutes to say what's happened in the past year. So, what do you do when you get a call from a blocked number, or unknown, something like that? Right? 64% of us or more are going to decline that call. Well, probably most of you don't block your number, but you know who does block their number? Almost all of them? Cops do, right? Cops block their number. So you might be thinking, well, hey, that cop. Why would that cop block his number? They need to get a hold of me. They're calling to follow up on your, broken in house, your stolen bike, whatever. You're going to ignore their call. That's a big, big problem with policing. Well, why do they block their number? Cops deal with dozens of people every day that they don't necessarily want calling their phone all morning, all night, right? They might be working an overnight shift, and they really want that person to be calling them in the morning. So, here's a fun fact. About 50-50 police get issued phones versus have their personal phones. So you talk about, 25,000 or more agencies out there with all those police officers, and half of them have the same personal phones that you have in your pocket, and they're expected to use those for duty. Now, they might get reimbursed for those phones, but still, you really want citizens calling your personal phone all day. That's why they don't their number. Well, some of those calls are more legitimate, right? They're, hey, my house was broken into last night, now it's 9 in the morning, I'm going to call and follow up, hey, I need a number off that report for my insurance, right? Well, the officers, if you report overnight, probably sleeping now because they work night shift, not morning shift, right? So again, that call coming in off the first of the day isn't really good for a work-life balance, and it can cost them money. So, came up with a simple idea, an app called 1021. It's for police only, to verify their officers, and it does one simple thing. When the officer dials a citizen, like let's say they dial a citizen in 727 area code, that citizen will get a call from a 727 number that works with every area code. So you're going to be a lot more likely to answer that blocked call, or not blocked call anymore, because you're seeing a local number. Well, you still might not answer it because you don't recognize the number, even though you're more likely. So what happens if you call that back? Again, that police officer, their job is not to be a 24-hour answer your call at any moment, but they still need to know that you're trying to reach them, right? So what we do is we send a simple push notification to the officer that says, hey, this is Robinson's trying to call you back. So rather than ringing through the phone, that officer gets a push notification letting them know that when you request service, they just have that notification when they're back on duty, when they're in their car, when they get a police report up, and they're somewhere safe, take your call back. Or the citizen can press 2 and get sent to the St. Pete Police Dispatch or any other dispatcher to get assistance if that officer is not available. So how have we done in the past year? We've had over 70,000 downloads across iPhone and Android, 53,000 verified police officers, real officer users, not just downloads, and that's representative across over 20,000 different police agencies in the U.S. In the interest of time, I've got to keep going through this, but we've got some pretty awesome reviews, averaging 4.2 stars out of 5. So if you like it, it's simple as free. So here's the follow-up since last year. What's worked? Really solve one simple everyday problem. Cops would like that it's for them versus a We've reached a whole new audience for our company, Folio, which is the patrol market. We've had some pretty awesome success stories, which we'll get into later, and we've had a really great team to support it. Some of our challenges, Apple kept rejecting it. We don't want any police-specific apps in our app store. It might remind you of the FBI case. Manual verification of 20,000 police domains was a pain. Went through 2 marketing assistants, Facebook killed one of their app platforms that we built it on. A lot of challenges came up through that whole process. One of them being, it's kind of hard to sell into a for-profit company an app that, hey, it's freemium now, guys. It's a freemium model versus a traditional, hey, we're going to go out and sell everything to customers. So, where to next? 2 things we're looking to go to from here. One, we've got a ton of data about these officers, their names, their ranks, their units, their departments. We don't really have a great internal dashboard for saying, hey, we've got 100 cops from, Hillsborough Sheriff, and Hillsborough Sheriff is not already an existing customer of Polio. Here's the most active users that we should follow on from our sales team. That would be really the best leads for our sales team to work with the products. And then second, we're working on an extension, the second app to this, right now, called 1021 Commander. Whole idea behind 1021 Commander is imagine there's a big incident in the city right now, and the chief says, I need to get my 5 core team people on the phone right now. Think for yourself for a second. If you had to call 5 people right now, 5 people that you work with on the phone within the next 30 seconds, how would you do it? Right? So we're going to attempt to solve that as a top-down approach for command staff that are trying to reach that. So that is it. That went by fast as well.
You mentioned it's a free app. Do you do a top-down approach for selling this to a department and then dispersing that to their employees, or if you go directly to officers and have them download the app?
Yeah, so our model with Polio traditionally, and by the way, what we do, is a little bit of context there. Polio has been in business 6 years, founded the company here in St. Pete, got 19 employees and agencies throughout the U.S. What we do is for human trafficking investigations, child predator investigations, these very intense, like telephone-based investigations, we provide a lot of tools that help them conduct those investigations. So we've always sold those to an agency, and then the agency creates their users, sets up those accounts, and helps them in. But there's always friction with now you're relying on that one person to create those accounts and hold back your growth. So one experiment with 1021 is, what if we verify that stpd.org is a police domain, but then we just let any police officer with that domain download the app themselves, sign up, and use it without having to try to sell into that. Did I answer your question? Awesome.
So it's still top-down, right?
Well,
You'd be reaching out to the department, and then basically your sales process is getting in touch with the department, the right person, getting onboarded, and then dispersing that.
So the discovery process for this has actually been, and I should have included this in what's work, is we just do a minimal Facebook ad out there targeted at people who like a lot of police sites, which tend to be police officers, and they have just shared and shared and shared and virally spread that app throughout the police community. So they're signing up for 1021 without us really pushing and promoting it.
Determining which organizations are got a concentrated number of people who download the app, part of the registration process, can you have them put in either their party URL or name?
So what we do for that, and we developed our own internal system that we just called Clear, to clear somebody, which was a project in itself, is when a new registration comes in from a domain name you don't recognize, let's say Hillsborough Sheriff, the very first deputy that does. It then goes to somebody at our office, goes to Janet, she takes a look at it, she says, yes, this is a legit domain, marks it as approved, and then that person and anyone forward now who can verify that they have a domain at the office goes through. We also learned in this process, one of the gotchas is right now a third of police officers or police departments don't have their own email domain. There's hundreds of thousands of officers using Gmail because their office department doesn't give them. So that means they have to send in their picture of their badge, send in their ID, do all this. So we go through that process, which has been time intensive to get them on, but it's been hard. Yeah. How do you make money? How do we make money? So I do have the luxury of seeing a lot of these presentations, so I can already have this. So far, out of the 53,000 verified officers, calls, right, or make calls for my investigation, so that prompt them for more than just the calling citizens and into the investigative side. When they click that, we already have their name, their email, their unit, their title, and all that. So all they do is they hit submit. All we have to ask for is their state, really. That gets played into Salesforce, and then based on the state selection, that goes to one of our regional account managers who can then follow up. Well, what they're doing when they follow up is they're saying, hey, I'm glad you like 1021, I'm glad you use this free app. How are you guys, how are you guys recording your calls in your auto theft division? Or, what cell phone tools are you using in your murder for hire cases, which is a big thing still for some reason. So they get to directly connect with that customer based on an experience where they've already liked the product more. It's really a sales funnel for us. We're providing great value to everyday police officers for this tool, but then a percentage of them, 2%, I think is good for a start. I think maybe like 5% would be a goal, but we are converting those into good leads for the sales team. And by the way, those leads are hard to find. So you said that's one trick with leads. They're not all on LinkedIn either, if you could imagine. So if you want to find out who's the captain in charge of vice at Miami-Dade Sheriff, that's a lot of digging to get to that, versus that captain signing up for 1021, saying that he's the captain over vice for Miami-Dade, and then having this button, and then that gets us directly to the right person, and we know that they're captain of the role, and that's the right person. Who is Zinnick holding my hand for a while? Oh, sorry, you're on the other side.
Do you have any plans to take this to other countries, and if so, what are the challenges?
We've tried taking some of our other products internationally. It's a lot of work, and sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. I think that there's so many police officers in the U.S. that, we're in U.S. and Canada, so, everyone kind of forgets Canada, but the U.S. and Canada, it all works. It could go to the UK or somewhere else too. But I think part of what made this work is really understanding intimately that problem that officers in the U.S. have and how they block their number and how they work and how they operate. Those challenges might be different in other countries, so it'd be first about understanding, do they have that same challenge and would this solve that problem the same way? If it all lined up, possible.
I heard you say you guys are working phone calls, and in that situation, have you ever had the potential where the calls are asked to the state attorney's office rather than some person that establish a chain of custody on that patient procedure?
Yeah, so on 1021, nothing is recording, so it's not recording the calls here on this app. We do have some paid products that would be specific to an investigation. We don't do any of that wiretapping or anything, say something, right? It's more like, hey, I'm an investigator investigating, a pedophile that's traveling here in Mills County. They're reaching out to me by phone. I need to record and document that call in an official investigative capacity. Never does it, recording, cases.
How do you come about recognizing this problem with officers?
Yeah, getting out of the office. There was those famous quotes like, get out behind your desk and just be out there. I was, one of our core products with Folio is a hostage negotiation product, right? Police technology is so old, it's bad. If there was a hostage negotiation, you know what they do typically? Well, in a lot of cases still, they'll break a window, they'll throw a suitcase into this room, and then they'll wheel out an extension cord across the street. Also, they can put a bunch of headphones on, so that 4 people can hear at once what's going on in this negotiation, right? So, and if you ever seen Dallas SWAT on Discovery Channel, so those guys saw them doing that. This is stupid, right? So went out there, came up with a better solution with Dallas SWAT on how to solve that problem. So it's one of the commercial products we have. Solve that problem for them, but there are SWAT negotiations at night, during the day, they're on patrol. So I'm riding along, in the front seat of the patrol car, and see them continuing to call a citizen, and it keeps going to their voicemail almost instantly. You know when you know people are hanging up on you? And I'm like, why is that happening? He's like, oh, nobody answers a call from a block number. I'm just like, well, don't call from a block number. So that's how it goes. Not shocking.
So, a lot of police forces have external pressures around community policing and the various things that are going on. Is there a way that you can track the data used through 1021 and provide it to police departments in some sort of format that they can use to report out the kind of community policing, the real citizen interaction, not the headline routing off?
Yeah, so 2 points on that is first, in a short window, I didn't stress enough that we even have in our description that it's an app to help build police-community relations. Okay, what the heck does that mean? Well, if police are being seen as always these folks who are calling from unknown numbers, they're unreachable, they're like scary, right? That's just not a good impression of your citizen. You want them to be friendly and accessible and reachable. That's what the goal is for government, right? Well, by having this as being a local number and allowing you to directly call that officer, first and foremost, that actually helps with that message. It is a good reason to promote, promote the act of building that community. The process now is the officer will leave you a voicemail and say, hey, call, and then they leave the department main number if you need to get a hold of me. Well, a citizen calls the department back, reaches the dispatcher transfers you to the officer's voicemail. You leave a voicemail for the officer, they get it the next day, and then they call you back again from the same block number. It's just insane. Pete Police handles about 400,000 calls a year to dispatch. A lot of those are just this whole, how do I get a hold of Officer Jones? So in terms of the data on, to your question on how's it being used and how we can connect with the agencies, that was really one of our two goals at the end on where to go to from here, was to provide our team better analytics on who's using it and selling it, but also to be able to provide the departments, like the chief, the chiefs might not know that they have 100 officers already using 21 minutes and helping improve that dialogue so that they win on this.
I mean, even if at the end of the year, the police department can say, found 100 dogs for children, or recovered 1,000 stolen dogs, right, stuff like that, that kind of minor communities.
How much focus have you put on legal and security to guard your database, all these officers station?
Yeah, that's like one of those hidden costs, I think, of doing anything law enforcement these days, is it's just such a big target, right? Like hackers are sitting out there and just want to go after police stuff, right? One benefit is by having this all in the Amazon cloud versus a lot of police technologies are posted on-site at departments, which make them easier to kind of go after and target. People abstract a lot of that, keep it secure, rely on major partners, to help block that. But there's still, one of the challenges I had in there is misuse, abuse. There are still people that try to, they go bypass the verification system. We see that happening. And I think that's a real risk where with this particular application, not that it's a good thing, but we see the worst that could happen is you somehow get past our human verification system, and then you're able to make a phone call to a citizen and impersonate an officer. I mean, by that point, you're already, as the individual, committing that crime and knowingly going and impersonating an officer. So you could have just called instead from a normal phone and said, hey, this is Officer Jones, I'm following him. So while we don't want our tool to be, already in that, we take a lot to try to go around it. But it's unfortunate. You build something that tries to help people, and you get, reviews and comments and all that are so, no surprise, it's a heated environment between police and communities right now. So that has been a challenge. Yes.
Yeah, sounds like your space is police technology. Would you share with us your longer term plans for new products and new ideas and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, the long-term vision here is, I was involved in a lot of different startups, started a lot of things before this, and kept solving problems in spaces that, I guess you call them crowded spaces, where, the problems you're experiencing every day in healthcare and finance, whatever that may be. And then meanwhile, there's this whole industry sitting there, law enforcement, where it's very closed and guarded. They don't like sharing their problems. Everyday entrepreneurs don't really know what problems St. Pete Police have behind the scenes. But once you can kind of peel that back and see that, hostage negotiators are throwing suitcases into buildings and crazy things like that, that has really opened up this whole, wow, there's this huge marketplace there, and there are over 30 different investigative units and different types of jobs within policing, and all those different jobs have different challenges that technology has not even touched by and large for decades.
So
Like, it's just
which product, where are you thinking of entering that space? Anything particular you can share with us?
Well, I mean, our paid space is in investigations because there's money, there's money in there's budgets for an investigation and for buying technology for that investigation. But I think, longer term, we've hit such a big excitement over the patrol audience that we're not opposed to, hey, would we have a model that would involve charging each individual police officer, love this area because there's so much good to be done. You know, when we made 1021, Safety Police was like our pilot agency to launch with it. And they had somebody who was suicidal who was not answering the call from the black phone number. And they like made a call to 911, they hung up, and able to retrace the phone in time. They kept calling from an unknown number, the person wasn't answering, and they said, you know what, let me try calling from 1021. And they called, and that person got that local call, and they answered that phone. And we had nothing to do with locating that person, but because they got that person to answer that call and stay on that phone, that enabled them to be on the phone long enough for them to use their other assets to be able to say, hey, Verizon, can you tell me where this person is so they can go and rescue that person? So those kind of stories are just awesome and motivating for our team to go out and build these things.
Are there any competing technologies in this space?
Well, I think it's silly when everybody says, oh no, we don't have any competitors, because one of your competitors is always, well, they could just not buy or do anything, they could just keep doing it the way they've always been doing it. That's always your competition, right? But then the other one are like not so close alternatives, which is, yeah, some cops have Google Voice numbers. They use the Google Voice number and tools like Google Voice to call a citizen. That doesn't prevent, that doesn't give them that whole push notification experience back and doesn't enable them to connect to the dispatcher. But that's still like a good enough solution for a lot of cops. But we don't have anybody that's come right up and said, oh, hey, we're going to copy 1021 and try to do this again. You know, they could, but it would just actually motivate us to add more features and make it better.
So as a department, I pick whatever number I want, but do you handle that initial call if I'm just Joe Citizen? Does that when I call back whatever number comes up, does that go through you guys or does that go straight to the police department?
So we've got some pretty cool routing logic in this where here in St. Pete, you moved here from Miami, South Beach, I guess. Okay. And I call you on a 305 number, you'll get a 305 caller ID coming in. So it always matches to be as local to you as possible. And then our system knows, hey, Chris was the last officer to call Greg's device number. So that when Greg now calls back that 305 number, it knows, hey, alert Chris that Greg was the one who called. So we route those, we route those calls, and we actually, all those calls go through our network, I think.
So they go through you, they don't go to the, but is that a real number when it comes across as 305 something on my phone as an average citizen? Is that a real number or are they just random numbers at school through your?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real number in that it's a consistent number that doesn't change, at least that it's not spoofing a number.
Okay.
Any more real numbers, you know.
So everyone in the department, that same number comes out to a police department or individual number assigned to individual officers?
Yeah, so that same, like, every citizen who gets a call in 727 gets a call from that 727 number. So you're like, well, then how the hell do you know which officer to go back to notify? Well, because again, in this space, you don't have multiple officers calling the same citizen. So it always goes to the last one to call. And if you do, okay, maybe I'm an officer today, I call you, and then like 6 months down the road, another officer calls you. There's never like multiple people calling on the same day. And if there were, then we would just, which we haven't had that problem, and all we would need to get is 2 numbers per area code, and then we can hold up the two last officers who called. So it hasn't been a challenge. But it's great because we don't need to get 53,000 unique phone numbers. We need to get the 320 unique numbers for the 320 area codes in the US, and that's
Maybe a high-class problem if you had to have more numbers.
yeah. One reason we do this for free is if we had an issue 53,000 unique phone numbers like Google, Ethernet cost. That
These calls are all recorded?
no, they're not. 1021 are not recorded.
Okay. Wouldn't the police department want them recorded?
Remember the whole part about Apple taking like 3 months and keep rejecting our application? There's actually somebody from, in terms of using your connections here at Rick, for 1 million cups, there's somebody from Apple's, local like Tampa Bay, sorry, his name's slipping my mind, but like represents small business initiatives for Apple in Tampa Bay. I'm like, hey, they keep rejecting our app, what the heck? You see me here every week. And that person actually had to go to Apple and like get an executive thing to go get our Apple out because they just are so anti-work with apps. So adding recording onto that, I can tell you, we've had lots of other stuff rejected by Apple since. It probably wouldn't get through. So that's really been the biggest reluctance. And it hasn't really come up big in demand. We haven't had many cops say, hey, we want to record these films.
I would have thought that would be a statutory change, if they would need this content.
Yeah, so far they don't.
Well, you'd think the cops that actually have the cell phones, they're not recording their calls every day. But they're making it wrong.
They need to document them so that we don't give them a call history for documentation, but not for the recording. And yeah, you're right, the law could change that might require that. We could meet that need, but we'd have to balance. You have to do the engineering first, and then you have to submit it after. So that's like the crap shape with app stores. Is you spend like 20 grand to whole month's building a feature, and then they may or may not reject money. So yes.
Great presentation, Chris.
Thanks.
Thank you for feeding into what the community can do for you based on the experience you had the last time. So what can we do this time?
You know, a police officer, whether they are here or whether they are a friend or family member that lives somewhere else in the country or in Canada, tell them about this. Be like, hey, I checked it out. I saw this cool presentation about 10:21 per day. That would be the most helpful. Don't try to sign up yourself to feed our registration system. That's try. That's about helpful. But wait, there's a final question.
Yeah, so how's is St. Pete Police Department supposed to do that?
Yeah, so St. Pete Police was our pilot in this big. So we're cool in St. Pete. However, they sent out like a memo, hey, everybody in St. Pete, go get this app. And there's still a lot that haven't. So if you're just on the corner and you approach an officer, they love when you just randomly approach them. Like, hey, did you get 1021 yet? That doesn't hurt. Yes, I think that's it. Thank you, everyone, and send out some good vibes from my dog. Little dog's not.